I've said this before, and I'll say it yet again. Motherhood changes everything. And when you look in the mirror one day and realize that you don't recognize yourself staring back at you, that's when it hits home hard. I'm Tulasi, and this is the Cashmere Couch. We're taking a break from the motherhood journey that we started a couple of weeks ago, and I thought we should talk about something that has been on my mind for a little while now. Actually, about 4 years now, to be exact. My daughter, she turns 4 just in a few days, and I was just looking at her one day and thinking that she would have to go through all of these things should she choose to become a mother in future. And I was thinking, what is one thing that I would talk to her about if I could? If there's just one thing that I should prep her for. And I really thought hard about the difficulties that I've experienced since becoming a mother. And the most prominent thing that I still struggle with is the way I feel about myself, because I don't feel like myself. If you had watched the introductory episode, which I can link somewhere over here, there is a question that I began with. And that is a question that people who don't know you yet would ask you, especially in interviews. They go, describe yourself. Tell me more about yourself. Who are you? And the answer is a lot simpler when you're not yet a mom. You might still struggle to answer this, but once you become a mother, the first thing, especially when you're a new mom, the first thing that comes to mind is, I'm a mother, and then who am I beyond that? Because when you're a new mom, your kids are still growing. Everything that you have revolves around them. Everything that you do revolves around them. You don't really have like that me time. And even when you do, if you're anything like me, you don't know what to do with your me time. When my kids miraculously fall asleep together at the same time, I don't know what to do, because there is just a million things that I would want to do. And then by the time I pick and choose, one of them is up. This is the truth. And if any one of you feels the same way, if any one of you feels lost, this video is for you to know that it's completely normal to feel this way. I really want to normalize this feeling because it is one of the least talked about things in motherhood, especially when you're new in the journey. You might have had hobbies before being a mother. I remember I was getting into scrapbooking, something very simple, but it was something that made me feel productive. It made me feel creative. It made me feel like, I'm in this flow, right? And as soon as my daughter was born, the first daughter was born, I had to stop halfway. Like I would just get in the flow of things when I would be doing my scrapbooking. I bought all the stuff that I wanted to, and maybe 5 minutes in, she would ask for me, and I would have to leave everything and just go attend to her. I've mentioned this before as well. I have a great support system at home. My mom, my husband, my in-laws, I have a helper. Everything's good, but there are just some things that your child needs from you and you alone. Your child at times doesn't want anybody else but mommy, because whether it's because of breast milk or it's just because they just want to be comforted by the smell of mom. There are some things that no one else can help you with. And I feel like that just takes a lot away from you, the girl that you were before you became a mom. And more often than not, I've caught myself looking in the mirror and going like, who are you really now? I suppose I've come to terms with the idea that I am the best version of myself that I can be at this point in time, given all the blessings that I have in my life. I consider my children to be great blessings in my life, and I love every moment of motherhood. And that's another thing. When you start complaining or you start just being real, you can complain, by the way, but when you just start being real about the issues that you have, all these itty-nitty things that might seem completely minute to someone else, they go like, ha, that's why you shouldn't have kids. Ha, See, it's not easy. You can love your journey, you can love being a mom, and at the same time have complaints. You would never be able, even if you are in a job that you love. Let's just look at the career woman, for example. You can have the perfect job, the perfect life, and you will still have things to complain about. You can still feel overwhelmed. You can still feel like, this job is taking a lot of my time. It's the same thing. You can have a passion that you're crazy over, and then you catch yourself like neglecting your family or your dog or your cat, and then you go like, yeah, maybe I need to take a break. That happens with everything in life. The truth of the matter is that you will never be 100% your old self again. And I feel like the only way around it is to embrace your new self, which is, and I've said this before, which is a better version, a wiser version of yourself. And it's probably the best version of yourself that you can be at this time. You're learning, you're growing with your children as a mom. And that's one aspect of your life that is going to be fine-tuned, and that fine-tuning is going to help you in other aspects in life. Let me give you an example. I never used to be a very patient person, but with children I've learned that God probably put children on earth to test our patience. And patience is a huge virtue. You will be surprised at the different faces of yourself that get revealed when you have children. And to be really honest with you, I don't think it's just about human children. It's also about having fur babies. You're a mom still, okay? Here's another example of how children can bring out a completely different phase of you that you've never even seen before, that you didn't even know that you have, all right? So my mom, she was a typical Asian mom, and I grew up with very strict parenting. Of course, there was a lot of love in that. I think the memes on TikTok, they just completely undermine the love that Asian parents have for us. There was a lot of love with the strict parenting, okay? So I grew up like that, and my mom acts very differently towards her grandchildren than she did when I was a kid. So the same mistakes I used to get beaten for the same mistakes. And then now when I try to reprimand my children, she's like, oh, be a bit more patient. And I'm like, what? That was not how you dealt with me when I was younger than my daughter's age right now. And I have caught her just looking at me blankly and going in her head. I mean, she would never openly admit it, but that look on her face, like, yeah, I'm different now. And that's even more so when it's you as the mother, the woman who has begotten this child, has developed this child, has grown this child in your body for, by the way, it's 10 months. It's not 9 months. Do the math. 38 weeks to 40 weeks is 10 months, okay? 10 months in your womb, your body has made space for this child to grow. When I say that, really think about the anatomy of the human body. Your organs have moved, shifted to allow space for this baby to grow. And that is why you don't have like a banging body immediately after the baby comes. And that too is another big problem that you have to deal with when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. It's not just psychological, it's physical. And then it's not just physical, it's also psychological. It's crazy. So many things that you need to get used to. And I remember a huge portion of my first ever year postpartum after my first baby, I just couldn't accept it. The physical changes as well as my psychological well-being. Like, I am nothing more than a mom. And the perspective shift happened because I was conscious about what I was thinking and feeding to myself. And I told myself, let's look at it this way. I am now a mom and more. It used to be, and it's very normal for you to feel this way, I'm just a mom and nothing else. What else beyond this room and my boobs and the baby? There is nothing else. I am so tired, I can't do anything else I don't have the energy to continue the passion projects I used to have. Yeah, I will tell you, I had a gazillion passion projects over the past 4 years. Everything is just left unfinished here and there, but you know what, I had fun doing those things while those few me moments lasted. In that entire year postpartum, immediately after I had given birth to my child, that entire year, I was just struggling to be okay with what I was looking at in the mirror. I was struggling to be okay with just being a mom 24/7. Like, I couldn't even go back to work without leaving my brain behind at home, my heart, my soul, everything behind. I used to be really good at work. I used to give it my all, and I realized that I just couldn't anymore. I'm very thankful that at this point in time, I have a job that allows me to work from home. Even today, there are some days where I just feel like I can't get anything done because the minute I turn my laptop on, my kids are all over me and they want to type as well and they want to get involved. And it's just so difficult to have that discipline to just go into my room, lock the door. And even then, I know the kids are just going to be banging the door because they know I'm at home. There are just so many restrictions you have as a mother as well. You also have to watch the way you eat. Your body, first of all, physical changes, that's a whole other thing to deal with. And then you're now having to set a good example. You need to eat right. You can't be caught eating. I can't share dessert. The first ever argument, moment of unhappiness that I had with my husband when we were dating was when he tried to share my dessert. If you've watched Friends and you've seen Joey doesn't share his fries. Tulasi doesn't share her dessert, ever. And now, every time I want to get some ice cream, I have to do it when the kids are asleep, and that affects my whole body situation as well, digestion, and again, physical changes. It's just so hard to eat anything and enjoy something. I have to finish my ice cream real quick if the kids have seen me because they just want more and more. I can't enjoy things the way I used to, like just stare at the TV and just go like mindlessly. Sometimes you just want to do that, but I can't because of the kids. So eating is a problem. Drinking is a problem. I want them to drink water and I want them to drink water at room temperature, but I love iced water, and that becomes a problem because they see me drinking iced water and they want iced water. So, it's very hard. I need to change my own habits. I suppose it's a good thing, but it's just really hard. And here I am struggling with a million other things that are happening in my life, right? So you have food, you have water, you have sleep timings. Sometimes my husband works shifts, right? So sometimes I have to wait up for him, and the only time that we get to spend with each other is when we watch like our midnight movies. But the kids need to sleep. But no, the kids don't sleep because, they know I'm waiting for Appa. And and then when he comes, if they were even the slightest bit sleepy, when he comes in, it's madness. I live in a zoo. You're trying to find yourself constantly. It's been 4 years. I have 2 kids. It's been 4 years since my first baby was born, and I'm still struggling with this. I'm still struggling to find out who I am really. And yes, I would say I've embraced it, but sometimes I just go like, what is happening? Who am I really? So I used to be this really spiritual person. I was very spiritually inclined. I cannot meditate for the life of me. Like, by the time I get my kids to go to sleep, I'm asleep because I'm just so tired running after them. Their energy levels are insane. And so I don't have time to do some peace and quiet with my soul, any reflections. All my affirmation and reflection books are just sleeping in the drawer for 4 years now because I just have not had the energy, time to do it. And I feel like a whole big part of me is just missing because spirituality, prayer, meditation, all of these things were a huge part of my life before I got married. And so I find it so hard to just be at peace with myself, to just have that peace and quiet, really. At the same time, I love my life. I love having the kids. And I don't know how to feel like this in between. I don't know what this feeling is called. So I suppose my point is that if you are like me, just struggling, you love your kids, but at the same time, you don't want to go around complaining, it's okay. The kind of things that we have to deal with, there is also this constant pressure. Again, when I look in the mirror, I look at myself and I'm like, I was never this flabby. I was never this like loose. See, after I had my kids, I was very, strict with my confinement diet and culture, the whole 40 days of following a strict regimen. And I did lose a lot of weight. In fact, after my first child was born, I actually went in 1 month, I lost a lot of the baby weight and I became smaller than I was pre pregnancy. But when I would take my clothes off to shower, I didn't like it because the flab, the excess skin, the look, and don't even get me started on the stretch marks, okay? Things that I've never had before in my life. Have I ever had like a tummy? Yes. There was one point in time in my life when I was not diagnosed but pretty depressed, and I was stress eating and I gained a lot of weight, but I was still like tight inside. Do you know what I'm saying? Like my abdomen was still tight inside. I never felt loose. And when I lost that weight, my skin wasn't like sagging. It wasn't like excess fats. And I still have trouble with this. I still have trouble looking down at my body and going, yeah, okay, I'm okay with this. And a lot of that has got to do with society, yes. But you know what? You can't erase what society has etched into your brain. It just doesn't work. That is why we need to become that society that normalizes these things, that tells you that, hey, it's okay. You want to work out? You have time? You can do it. Don't pressure yourself. It's not about letting go. A lot of times people use that term and it makes me pretty angry. When you're talking about a mother with young children, it is not about letting go. Consistency is key to get results, right? But you can't be consistent when your I don't care what kind of routine you have your kids on. Sometimes things just don't go according to plan. Yes, there are people who can do it, and then there are people who just find it very difficult too. I'm still working on myself. I'm still not okay with this body. Like I said, some days I'm embracing it. I'm like, yes, this is the body that has birthed my children, yada yada, and I respect it. But at the same time, I don't necessarily love it, and I want to do something about it. And I keep telling myself every day, maybe it's laziness. Okay, go ahead, judge me. Maybe it's laziness. Sometimes I tell myself it is laziness, but the thing is for you to actually start doing it. And, when you know that the minute you start like exercising on the mat, your kids are just going to be all over. That happened too, by the way. There were times when I tried to pick up an exercise routine, right? And then the kids are just on my back. I'm trying to do yoga poses like the dog pose and whatever. Is that what it's called? The dog pose or the calf pose? I'm on all fours, right? And the kids just think I am pretending to be a slide and they just slide all over me. So that's not fun. Okay? So for those of you who think your partner or this person that they have let themselves go, it's not as easy as you think it is. I know there are influencers on social media who make it look easy. It's not always the case. Everybody has their own life. There are some people who are working from home full time. They can manage their time very well and they're able to do it. There are some people who are working, grinding their 9 to 5s, and they come back home. They're just too tired to do it. There are some people who are actually losing weight in a very unhealthy manner. There are some people who are eating pretty healthy and they still look that way for whatever other reason. Okay, there are some people who are actually pretty fit, but they still have flabby skin over their body, and it's very easy to look at them and just judge and go like, you've just let go of yourself. That's not how it works. So physical changes, and then you have these psychological changes. I don't have time to do this. I used to do this. I can't flex like that anymore. My flexibility is gone. I'm having body aches. And when I want to say these things, I catch myself because I'm like, am I allowed to complain? Like I wanted this life, And so I thought, we should really sit down and talk about this. If you have ever felt anything like this before, please share. Please make this normal. Please normalize this and let other people who are watching this video, just let them know that this is happening. I would greatly appreciate that. On that note, I also want to give you a hug if you ever feel completely overwhelmed. That's what the Cashmere Couch is all about. I also have a digital hug that I have in my bio, in the description box. So you can go check that out if you want to gift yourself or someone else who might need it. Yeah, that's all I have for today. So I'll see you real soon. Hang in there. I love you. Bye.